Hello and welcome back to Boring Dad Gaming, where today we're going to be playing some more Roottreemania. So let's have a quick look at where we are. We're doing pretty well, I think. I've got three that I'm very confident on. Lisa, Clementine, Professor here. I'm sticking with that for now. I mean, I think she is a professor. I had a look at her entry again, and that seems to be her current job. Very confident on these as well. Now, it does suggest that my Jinyu Lang is wrong. So this is tricky. I think we need to look into Bess again. I need to come at it at this offspring from her angle. I think I need to try and find out who her child was, and I think it will open up a lot of other stuff. So I'm going to make that my priority for now. I know obviously I have looked into Bess Williams before, so let's. I saw her books there, but. Let's just spider search it. Bess Williams. She lived just outside Miami and died tragically young in 26. Okay. Okay, so let's look. Let's go. Let's just keep pursuing this. I know I've searched these pages before, but let's just keep going. Miami Print Museum. See, I think we need to get this Miami paper. So when you look for Miami Sunday, it merged with another periodical and became the Miami Mercury Sunday. Only lasted a year. Was the outcome of merging two smaller failing newspapers. This resulted in one larger failing newspaper, which is only notable to the author because by combining the names in the way it did, and combining the names, it was tied for the longest title of an American newspaper at the time. Okay, so we were looking for the Miami Sunday. What if we look for the Miami Mercury? Aha! It's now defunct, but it seems at some point during the process it was at least partially archived. It's now in the periodicals. Okay, so that's good. So now we can maybe look there for Bess Williams and we'll see what comes up. Had an article in the library when it was being built. It mentions that her young son, now an orphan, was in attendance during the dedication. So she's got a son. Well, that I had this down as Hongbo Lang, so that doesn't look quite so clever now. Okay. It also had a later mention from 49, the last year the paper existed, about a bidding war for a planned expansion of the library in 1950. The bidding was won by Wildcat Construction and included a new statue, fountain, and a second room that would double its shelf count. Well, that looks like something to potentially search. Is listed in some historical records as having worked on many buildings in the Miami, Florida area. Seems to have ceased operations in the 60s. Okay. Or maybe. Oh, I hate the way it does that. Yeah, search the periodicals. And we'll look at the Miami one. Mentioned earlier in 47 under the headline Constructing a Better World. Frank Wildcat Williams. Huh. Left Florida in 41 as a construction worker and returned a hero. He won the Navy Cross for his bravery and sacrifice, having carried a fellow soldier to safety under heavy Nazi fire. Now he and his wife Ophelia are carrying his fellow soldiers through tough times at home. Wildcat Construction is Frank's company, focusing on creating opportunities for soldiers finding difficulty getting back to normal. Ophelia has handled outreach to the wives of local veterans who are often able to provide insight into their husbands' needs and conditions. She has, through such outreach, found 13 veterans of the war to serve as Frank's employees. The community support has been unending and overwhelmingly positive. It has gotten to the point where if Frank bids on a project, other local companies have decided to step back and let his soldiers handle it. This has become a bit of a sore spot for local politicians and business owners, as the bids are often not as low as they expected. The problem for them is that essentially Frank has a selective monopoly, but any attempt to circumvent it has caused an uproar and accusations of being un-American. It's uncertain what will become of Wildcat Construction, but at least for now we're rooting for them. Okay, well this has got to be Bess Williams' son, right? I mean, we haven't got a picture yet, but I think that's got to be right, isn't it? Oops. Well, at least that's picked that up. Frank Williams, and it said his wife was Ophelia. Obviously, we don't know her maiden name as yet, but it's not Lang. We know that much. I mean, that's cast this whole tree into doubt now, so that's why that hasn't been ticking. But let's keep looking. So if we look for Frank Williams, see what comes up here. I'll also just Google his name on its own. Nothing relevant, but what about just spider searching that? What about Wildcat Williams? Here we go. He's listed on a few different military history websites. He was awarded a Navy Cross medal in World War II, and the story goes that even after being struck in the arm with a bullet, he managed to carry a fellow soldier through enemy territory on his shoulders for over 2 miles. He died in 1996, aged 74, so he would have been born about 1922, which actually does track with what we know about this affair. He died in a retirement community in Sweetwater, Florida. An obituary on the website of a local news channel that was written by a surviving family also sheds light on some of his personal life. He grew up an orphan because his family died in a hurricane when he was very young. We know that Bess died in a hurricane. He could barely remember his mother and had no memory of his father. After the war, he ran a construction company that mainly hired World War II veterans and did a lot of jobs in and around the greater Miami area. He was a born joker and a shining light to those veterans who needed it most. An anecdote mentions that he used to insist he married his wife Ophelia as a matter of courtesy and convenience. She wouldn't have to change her last name. Okay, so actually she is Ophelia Williams. By coincidence. We know he was in construction. He wasn't an architect. Does it just have construction? It does. Okay. A photo was attached of Frank in his youth juggling hammers in front of one of his construction sites, as he was often known to do. According to the article, he's survived by Ophelia as well as his daughters, Barb and Sharon Williams. Okay. Well, you ain't Barb Williams. What was the later one? Barb and Sharon. I don't know why this is down as a legal guardian. Oh, maybe... Why would her sister become her legal guardian? Well, we might find out, but it does seem like this is probably Sharon Williams. Yeah, no, I was way off with all this stuff. I wonder where the Chinese stuff comes into it then. Weird. Okay, well, it looks like we might have Frank's picture now at least. Juggling hammers, as advertised, in front of his mum's statue. I wonder if he knew it was her statue. He said he didn't really remember her. Right, well, I think I've got 3 others that are correct, so in theory this should lock in. Here we go. Up to 20. We got Frank, Lisa, Robert, and James. And got an optional as well. Oh, they're together.
Hey there, it's us. So I just have to say, the work you're doing here is fantastic.
So fantastic, in fact.
There goes Clark. Always the bad cop. Go ahead.
Well, our law firm, Ruby Legal Enterprises, is having trouble keeping up. They're actually begging us to stop submitting new Roottrees. They said it's getting difficult to verify your progress.
Well, consider that a good thing. I told Clark you'd get results.
She says that like I didn't believe her. Regardless, the bad news is it's going to take 5 potential tree additions before anyone locks in from now on. Good luck.
And keep up the good work.
Make things a little bit tougher. Okay, though, but I don't think I've got anything else here. Well, I think I've got a couple of names, but I don't think I've got anyone else currently who's waiting to be verified. I guess I continue down here for now, so... Probably just start by looking up some more names. I could start with Sharon Williams, seeing as she's easy to copy there. Nothing relevant. What about Barbara? Oh, she's a motivational speaker and has a website that explains the services she offers. Her company's address is listed as Coconut Grove, Florida. Flyer's been added. Let's have a look. Oh, hello. Overcoming Adversity with Barb Williams. Click. Her story will surprise you, uplift you, and then energize you. Greta Jones, something morning news. Now, Greta Jones is also in the text here. Different testimonials from Greta Jones, Vic Elmsworth from the Kickewa Falls Gazette, and Isabel Crosby, the superintendent of Benton County. I could probably add that to my thing then. Maybe the morning news as well. I'll search for that. Book Barb for corporate events, retreats, church events, or even school assemblies. She can customize her message for any audience. So she is a motivational speaker. I'm assuming that is here. Public speaker, I think, is public speaker. There we go. There's Barb. We know we might. Okay, so we have. So we got the Kickewa Falls Gazette. Research for that. There is no Gazette anywhere in the world that you can find with that name. Instead, a man named Chris Elmsworth has invented a small-town newspaper as a conceptual art piece. So what was the name on the flyer? Vic Elmsworth. Okay, interesting. The Kickewa Falls Gazette is a series of online articles about small restaurant shows and other tourist attractions all across America. What makes the Gazette a bit strange is that amongst the articles detailing real locations are occasional stories that present outlandish, inflammatory concepts in extremely mundane ways. For example, on the homepage right now is an article entitled Mermaids Strike Back Against Lobster Farms that, using very dry language, details the idea that mermaids in Maine have begun to unionize in support of better benefits. There are no punchlines, and the articles are not marked any differently from the rest. Unfortunately, each current issue of the paper is presented on the homepage. There are no archives of older issues. Okay, so it didn't add that as a thing, but what if we go to Chris Elmsworth? Vic Elmsworth. According to his own personal page, he's apparently one of 3 brothers. All 3 of them are contributors to a newspaper called We Know, and he tends to focus more on the southeastern United States. All of the articles he's written are archived on his site, including the long-form version of the review for Barb Williams' motivational show from '97. According to Victor, he had seen Barb talk more than once. On this particular occasion, Barb's talk was at a very large church, and it was clear that she was an expert at matching the presentation of her concepts for any particular crowd, because she received a standing ovation. Barb started with a story about loss, specifically the loss of a bicyclist who had been hit by a car. She spoke about the death of any person as a darkness in their loved ones, a cold, empty void that begins to creep into a space where there was once light. Because the light could never return exactly how it once was, she says the only option is to nurture new sources of light to help fight back the darkness. Her conclusion was that finding the hidden meanings in tragedy is the most important thing we can do. She used multiple biblical comparisons and finished by looping back around to her initial story and how she personally began to come round to this ideology. The biker who died was her son-in-law. And the Lanes Across America charity was created to fill the newfound darkness her daughter experienced. She doesn't have a son-in-law. So they could be the wrong way round. So we'll look that up in a sec, but okay, I think this is actually Barb Williams then. If she got married and had kids, that seems to make sense. Now, why was she adopted? That I don't get. Unless she had, yeah, I don't know. Honestly, don't know. But I forget the name. Was it Sharon? I'll look it up again at some point, but I think it was Sharon. Unknown occupation. Okay, well, let's look up this charity next then. Adding bike charity focused on adding bike lanes. The pages and pages of news articles that mention it. It was founded in '87 after the death of Drew Smith. Drew was biking home from work when he was hit by a car. Each year since, lanes across America has grown, and they now have offices in over 12 major metropolitan areas, including Miami, where the charity began. The website is a picture of Drew. Okay. So it was her son-in-law. So where would I put his photo? Why do I have a picture of him? I don't get this. But maybe further digging will reveal more. Okay, I'm going to take this. I'm going to look in the Miami Mercury. Drew Smith. So it's probably lanes across Miami. I wonder if that will get a hit. Oh, that's surprising. I guess we could just go spider search that then. Okay. Does narrow down the pages. Find some additional information. It was founded by Sharon Smith after the death of her husband. Okay. Sharon and some other board members stepped down after the current leadership took over. One of the oldest articles is a full uncropped version of the same wedding photo. It seems that after Sharon left Lamb, they began to crop her and the rest of her wedding party out of the photo to focus solely on Drew, who's the face of the charity. So if she had a daughter named Sharon Smith... But I'm confused because Drew doesn't have... Unless Sharon is her older sister. Wait. No. What if, okay, what if Barbara goes here and she adopted Sharon for some reason I can't figure out yet? Then her, if she was here, then her son-in-law would be her sister's husband, right? So this would be Drew. I think I was right. I haven't quite worked out why Barb would have adopted her sister unless she was that much younger than herself. But I think this is how it works. I think this is still Sharon. I don't know what she did for a living. But I think this is Drew. Probably Andrew then. Smith. And I think that's him. So let's have a look at the uncropped photo then. Okay, so that would... Is that... Yes. Okay, so that's Barb, Sharon, and unknown. Because Barb does have a second photo I can add in once that's locked in. So who'd be this other guy? I mean, when he died, maybe he was like the best man or something, and like when he died, she ended up marrying the best man? Maybe? I'll go with that theory for now. Okay, well it feels like we're making a little bit of headway then. So we've got Sharon Williams. Yeah, well, we'll look her up maybe. What about Sharon Smith? No. Okay, well let's look in the periodicals. Ho hum. Okay, well I'll do everything for the names, then I'll go back and put the different name in. Seems unlikely, but you never know. Okay, so in her flyer, there was that other thing as well. Greta Jones? I wonder if she's... Ooh, it's a common name, apparently. Okay. Well, what about if we search for the station? Okay, unfortunately the news channel has no online web presence whatsoever. You do find it listed in a giant list of television call signs next to City Springfield, under the heading Effingham County. You may need to go on a deeper dive on a specific city and state to see if any locals have discussed... Okay, what about Effingham County? Georgia or Illinois? Well, okay, well, process of elimination. Let's do Georgia. There is a Springfield there. What was Illinois? Illinois. Springfield is the capital of Illinois, but after perusing some of the results, you find it is not located in Effingham County. Okay, so we're looking at Georgia then. So how do I... Okay. When you refine your search to television in and around Springfield, Georgia, you come across a website that lists different channels available there. The list seems to only feature broadcasts with female news anchors. The person who runs the website ranks each using 3 categories. None are relevant to journalism. Greta Flores. Channel 12. Greta Flores is a news anchor who apparently used to go by Greta Jones before her divorce. Compared to the ordeal you've gone through to simply figure out her current name, it's way easier than you expect to find that she has a website of her accomplishments. She was apparently the MC for an all-female speaking tour in '77. The tour was called Storytellers of Sisterhood, the Mothers and Daughters of Earth. You do a search and it seems that some of the stories were compiled into a book, simply titled 25 Stories of Sisterhood by Ayla Hale. So let me just copy that. And Ayla Hale. This is an anthology of stories told on a few different tours. It contains direct transcripts of the most well-received stories told on stage. Ayla Hale is the editor, not the sole author, and one of the stories is by Barb Williams. Okay, it's quite long, but let's work through this. Had the transcript of a story she told on stage published in a book. The first part of her story focuses on 2 16-year-old girls. My sister Sherry, we know her sister was Sharon, was a brat, always sulking, often disobedient, never on time. She borrowed things without asking and even ran away from home, only to sneak back the next day like nothing had changed. My daughter Okay, so I think she's changed the name and gone from sister to daughter because of this adoption. Let's work on that hypothesis. My daughter Sharon, on the other hand, was a beautiful person. She had excellent marks in school, was intensely artistic and creative, and even volunteered at an animal rescue. She continues to tell stories of the 2 girls until she shifts the narrative. What was the difference between Sherry the brat and Sharon the beauty? Is it nature, nurture, a better education, different opportunities? The answer is nothing. There was no difference because my sister and my daughter are the same girl. There we go. Barb reveals that her daughter was the result of an unexpected pregnancy when she was only 15. Probably unexpected here. So is she quite a lot younger? I met a boy at a county fair. Unlike us, he lived in the nice part of town. He went to the good school. To any teenage girl, it felt like a fairy tale, but there were boxes all over his house. He was moving in 3 days. Those 3 days were heaven to me. The final night, he surprised me. He told me he could actually see me again soon. He planned to return to visit his grandparents. I thought I was giving him a reason to keep his promise. I never saw him again, and when I finally got desperate enough to ask around, a friend of a friend told me he hadn't even given me his real last name. Oh, no, I think I've misunderstood this adoption. She had a teenage pregnancy, didn't know the father, hence John Doe, but her parents adopted her daughter, which is why she became her sister. So actually, I kind of had that the wrong way round, but that totally makes sense to me now. So I think we're good there. Oops. Hadn't even given me his real last name. Barb also talks about when she found out she was pregnant. I was convinced my life was over, but my parents, they took charge. I had to live at home and work a part-time job, but they removed the burden of motherhood. I managed to scrape out a degree in English, and as far as my daughter was concerned, I was her much older sister. Barb uses the story to come to a conclusion. When I was younger, I thought my sister was the brat, and I wasn't wrong, but she ran away from home to work at that animal shelter. She borrowed my clothes for presentations at school, and her creativity allowed her to open up Sherry's hair. It took me far too long to realise the beauty was always there too. So she's a hairdresser. In fact, the brat and the beauty exist in all of us. It was my inner brat that kept me blind to the truth, and I'd like to say that it's the beauty in me that's finally able to see what I was missing. I implore you all to call upon the beauties in yourselves whenever the brat tries to take hold. So she is a hairdresser. Now, is Sherry here as well as Sharon? No, Sharon's the only one. So I think that's correct now. I'm pretty sure this is correct now. I believe this is correct, although that's an optional one. So that was good. I wonder if Barb has any more stories. That seems like it for now. There's quite a lot more stuff here. What else have we got? So we've got Isabel Crosby, Benton County. Well, let's look her up. Benton County? And Isabel Crosby, according to a flyer on Barb Williams' website, is the superintendent of Benton County. There's a Benton County in 9 different states. There hasn't been a Benton County in Florida since 1850, so you're not sure which one Isabel Crosby comes from. Doesn't lead to anything that seems to fit what you're looking for. Okay, seems like that's a dead end. I mean, there's still intuition there, probably because 1, 2, 3... It leads into this stuff, doesn't it? So I think we probably need to go directly to Sharon Williams. Now, what was her... It was called Sherry Hare, wasn't it? I go back a couple of entries. She opened up Sherry's Hair. Let's look for that. There's a Sherry's Hair in Orlando. The owner of the business is listed as Sherry Yaztremeski, so that's probably her second husband then. I'll look up Yaz, I'm sure there can't be that many. Sherry has a large van and on weekends can bring the style of Brittany, Christina, or even the Rachel. Those are hairstyles, to your door. The About Sherry section is very, very long and presented as one paragraph with multiple run-on sentences and no pictures. You get the sense that if she were to do your hair, she'd be doing a lot of talking. She mentions that her husband Pete was her late husband's college roommate. Well, that would have tracked, being a best man, so probably Pete or Peter. Peter. There we go. Now we want to get into her children's names, if possible. She and he had never spent any significant time together until she became a widow and they built a charity together. They left the charity behind because it was growing beyond their ability to run it. She brags about her kids, Tony, Mark and Cricket. Her oldest, Tony, seems to get the short end of the stick. So this would be... Well, it's not Han. So this would be her oldest child and this would be her youngest child. So this is Tony, or probably Anthony. Presumably Smith. Don't know what he does, we'll come back to that. His 2 listed accomplishments are that he's the oldest and he's a straight-A student. Mark, on the other hand, has multiple baseball accomplishments listed. Apparently his Little League team is nationally recognised. So we got, Mark Smith... Little League? So he'd be at school? Straight-A student. I mean, I don't know if that means they're in, like... Which grade of school? I'll leave him as college for now. But this is Mark with a C. Mark Smith. It sounds Little League suggests he's a youngster. And then we got Cricket. Is that their actual name? It is their name, and I presume that's a Yaz. If Mark Smith's young, then they're probably very young as well. And has an entire section dedicated to her. She's an actress. Oh. The passage also mentions that her agent recommended they change her last name to York since it was easy to pronounce. Yeah, so Roottreemania, whatever it is. The rest of the section describes how she got the part, but seems unimportant to her sets. So I don't know if she's like a child actress or if I've massively got wrong the ages of these people. But he could be a pro athlete if it's going on about that. I don't know what straight A student would lead into. We might need more information there. But it sounds like cricket is an actor. Now through this we might be able to find a photo of her. There's quite a lot to search for here. Let's start with Cricket York. Library is a children's show filmed at a studio in Orlando, been on the air since '91. In the show, multiple adults and children interact with different animal puppets in a small town called Library. Unlike some other popular shows involving non-human performers, this one isn't funded by the public. Instead, it's paid for by donations from businesses related to education. So it sounds like she's a child actor. This includes textbook manufacturers like, oh god, yeah, whatever. From what you can find, it's syndicated, la 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 la. Click through the sites in the ring, find that Cricket York joined the cast in '97 at the age of 5. There we go, so she's a little one. Still listed as a current cast member. Okay, so let's look at Cricket's photo then. There she is. Now, is he in the family tree? Doesn't seem like it. And the puppet Poofdale from '97. Okay, so I think this is going to be correct now. So I think we've got 1, 2, 3. If I could get one of these guys locked in, that would... oh no, we need 5. If I could get them both locked in, that would be this whole tree done then. Let's have a look. So, Cricket York. We go back. So that was that entry, wasn't it? I'll look her up in the periodicals just in case she might discuss like brothers or something. Oops. Maybe in Teen Blast. Now she's in the chef thing. Okay, doesn't seem to be anything there. So why don't we look for Tony Smith's a bit of a common name, isn't it? Mark Smith? Yeah, I mean, if she's only 5, I mean, it's quite possible that he is still in, that they are what they sounded like they were, which is students. Photos. How can I get photos of these kids? It's not something you want to be saying in public, is it? Interesting, she's got another photo available. So she'd be about 7 now. What if we could... Okay, let's look up these things and see if that comes to anything. It might relate to a school. Okay, let's have a look. Math textbook. No, nobody associated seems to be related to our search. Oh, I'm not reading all that then. Now this does have something. Tutoring service. Oh, I wonder if Anthony, if he's a straight-A student, he might tutor on the side. Let's have a look. They have a deal, feature some of the actors from the show in pictures on their website. Well, that might be Cricket's alternate photo, I suppose. Tutoring for the actors and actors. Cricket York, seen in a photo label. Cricket and her brothers, ready to learn from one of our talented tutors. Brilliant. Don't find much else. One writes, I was terrified of the little girl in the Educate You logo. She looked like some kind of demon doll, and I'd race to the TV every day to switch the doll before a creepy laugh came on. Okay, so we have all three kids. Bing, bing, bing. It doesn't look like he's a college student, though, so I might need to change that. But I think we might get another hit here. So we got Tony, who I think is probably still in high school. And we got Mark. Yay! Up to 25. Here we are. Alright, so let's put Cricket's other photo in there. There we go. So okay, do I have another? Yes, I do. Her wedding photo. So we now have this entire tree filled in. We have this entire tree filled in. Guy is still a bit of a problem, but that we've got the family tree update. So it really is Guy's infidelity here and here. One thing that does slightly occur to me looking at these photos now is that this and this could be the same woman. And this isn't necessarily her. Which makes sense, because if you think about it, I've got only one, two... Well, those would be kids of this union. And then we've really only got two that make sense to have this lady in. And it's one of these. So there could be something in that. Because it would be too weird to have so much information about this China thing and it not to go anywhere. I mean, we know the guy travelled, and if we look Guy up again, when he was travelling, he would go to China. So he would travel to China. We know this. In terms of timing, I don't think she'd have been the final affair. And if this woman is the same person, and you look at kind of the ponytail, you look at the clothes she's wearing, the white collar, I think they could be the same. There was only a couple of years between these two photos, so, you know, it kind of makes sense as well. And we know that this one has an extra bonus photo, so I'm going to put her in for that, and I think that's the bonus photo. And if we proceed down this line of thinking, now we know that apparently this lady who was Xinyu Lang, who was a CEO, she's not a secretary, she's a CEO, apparently had IVF. To help her father get a male heir through her sister. That was the story, but could there be more to it, you wonder? Maybe. I just checked the time of the video. It's at 45 minutes, so I think because we have a few things still to do, I think that may be a good place to leave it for now, kind of with the satisfaction of having wrapped up this this side of the tree coming down from Elias. And I think next time we'll concentrate on Jinyu here. We'll look again at her entries. There was certainly some stuff in that IVF entry I think we can take a closer look at, maybe do another spider search on. And if we've got time, we'll get onto this stuff as well. And then that, in theory, finishes it. Now, did my optional photos get locked in here? So Zach's did. Are there any other optional photos? I don't think so. I think that's all locked in now. So that's pretty cool. And then we've got this. I wouldn't be surprised if this was going to be related to Ruby Sprat. I've had the feeling throughout that she is also a secret Roottree, just the way that she kind of put herself forward and got so heavily involved. But I guess we'll find out. I don't think she's on this tree. I mean, she could be. Maybe she's here. She could be one of Guy's children potentially. But we'll find out. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, if you could hit that like button, that'd be fantastic. Do leave a comment as well. Let me know what you think about our progress. Hopefully you think we've made good progress. I certainly am quite happy. Yeah, we hit quite a rich vein of form once I realised this wasn't related to China. But yeah, cool. Anyway, leave me a comment. And, you know, if you're watching this and not yet subscribed to the channel, if you could do that, that'd be amazing. So thanks very much. And I hope to see you next time. Bye for now.